Welcome back to Talkin Shop with ShopSabre. I'm Brandon, back with the gang. Got Chad, got Nick, got Travis, Kyle, Jose over there in the corner, and we have Ryan here today in the room. So he's sitting here as well watching.
Hey, Ryan.
How you guys doing today?
Filling up the room quick.
Yeah, this room is really full right now.
Doing great. How about you?
Oh, not too bad.
Marvelous.
Marvelous.
Good.
It's good.
Another day in paradise.
Another day in paradise. I love it. I love being here. Love being on the podcast with you guys.
I can't wait to talk about Travis's boat.
Oh, go on. Let's talk about it.
His new best find.
Did you find a new boat?
I don't know if I would use the word new. It's definitely new to him.
It's new to me.
Does it float?
We don't know that yet. We were going to try yesterday and had a couple mishaps.
You had mishaps before you got to the water?
Yeah. So, some of them were self-inflicted.
A rookie
Kind
mistake.
of. Yeah.
Did you forget the boat?
Well, first step was checking the lower unit oil. Bit milky, so we'll have to find some leaks there eventually.
Oh.
But hoping it's just going to be some loose drain plugs and vent plugs that I tightened up, but we'll find that
I heard
out.
the environmentalists like when you run around with loose drain plugs on your lower unit.
That was more just of a disappointment than anything, but when I went to go fire it to make sure it ran before we left the house, turns out there were some live wires that touched the gas tank and caused...
Was there fire?
Thank God, no.
Oh.
Nearly. And I'm very lucky that it didn't explode. But after some searching for about an hour looking for fuses that popped, no fuses were popped, it still wouldn't crank, found out that somehow the short caused the relay to the starter, the main wire on it, somehow popped out of its socket. So no idea how to explain that, but after a new crimping and a new wire to the relay, it now runs. We'll try again tonight.
Travis's maiden voyage was almost a pirate burial.
No.
That's pretty solid. So, yeah, I'm not going boating with you.
Yeah, my wife's a bit nervous, too. She says she's probably just going to sit on shore and make sure I come back.
I think the next thing you should buy for that boat is a set of oars.
Came with them.
I'd buy some life
Perfect.
jackets, personally.
Came with those
Came
too,
with
I
those,
think.
too.
Got
What
hell
about
of
a fire
deal.
extinguisher?
Came with that, too.
I'd use all three of those things.
It also came with a trolling motor, so I'm definitely going to make sure that works before I leave.
He's going to troll his way out there, start on fire, use the fire extinguisher, jump overboard in his life jacket, and then use the oar to fight off the fish that are trying to attack him. That's how I envision this going.
We're on to something.
We're on to something here. So that was an eventful evening.
It was not what I expected.
That's cool. Well, how was your guys' evening? Anything better? Can anybody one up that?
Oh, I can't beat that.
You can't beat that one.
No.
I got nothing either. Yeah, I got nothing. Man, that's impressive. Well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
What did we talk about last week? The future of CNC, right?
Possibly.
Travis almost didn't make it to the future. Yeah. No, that's cool. Obviously, at the beginning of this episode, we said we have Ryan in the room. Ryan is actually from our sister company, Langmuir, and he's here hanging out with us this week. So he gets to hang out with the gang and see what our podcast is all about. So, but he's already sleeping in his chair over there. So you guys must have already put him to sleep.
I think it's the temp.
It's nice and toasty in here.
It's a lot of man.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
much fresh
Hey,
air
guess
left.
what's online right now? Episode 2 of the other podcast, the video podcast.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Is that the one with Sean?
that's the one with Sean today. Sean Morley's episode is live. So it's Sabre Talk for anybody who hasn't seen it. Go out and check it out on YouTube. Rumor has it I got a little tanner in that video, so that's cool. I guess Jose color corrected my head. It was too shiny.
It's blinding people.
He was blinding people. He color corrected it.
That's
Then
right.
he told me next week we're turning the lights off, so it must be ugly.
That's why Travis does a podcast with his eyes closed.
That's true. I just thought he had squinty eyes. So, yeah, apparently I'm ugly and my head's shiny. So we color corrected me, and next week the lights go off. I got a real face for radio. So this is going well. But, yeah, this week I thought we'd talk about controllers, because I know last week we talked a little bit about the future of CNC. And, Chad, one of the big things that you had mentioned was the advancements of controllers. And specifically, we had a few comments about the controllers and, kind of thought it would be a good thing to start an episode about the controller system itself.
Yeah, I think it's one thing people can easily overlook.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that's why I call this episode Controllers. What's the deal? Anybody? What's the deal? Nobody? All right, I'll start.
Oh, that was a question?
No, not really.
Oh.
It's just kind of the topic name, but I wanted to ask it in a question form. And it confused you guys all. But no, I mean, in all seriousness, though, it spun off of last week's conversation. And like I said, we're talking about controllers. And, I think there's a lot of people that do overlook that topic. I think, how much easier and better controllers are today. It's caused people to look past the controllers a little bit, I think. Back when I started doing this many, many years ago, let me tell you, back in my day, it was a lot harder. People had to write code by hand, like manual G code. And therefore, the controller was something people were really interested in because our controller was, a big part of the equation. Some people couldn't even run machines. They couldn't figure it out because they were so complicated. Nowadays, I feel like a lot of the controllers have become easy enough that most people can figure out today's controller world. But, there was a comment made online specifically about WinCNC and how we should consider like a PLC controller or a PLC control. And it made me think, about the different types of controllers out there and where they've come from, where they're going. And, it made me think how much better ShopSabre's control really is comparably to the similarly priced machines. What's your guys' thoughts on that?
I agree. It's easy to use, all done from one screen. And the best part about it is being able to have a tech log right into the computer with an internet connection. So you could be on the phone with the guy that's logged into your computer, helping you along.
Yeah. And it's kind of cool because it's like so standard nowadays. But like I think about like when we first introduced it, people were like blown away that we could remotely log into machines.
Standard for us, but
Yeah.
I think you need a Windows computer to be able to log
Yeah,
into it. So if you
correct.
have a pendant controller or
Correct.
like a standalone, you're not going to get any remote capabilities.
That's what I meant. It's standard. It's like, it's just normal to us.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
I
Like,
got
it's
it.
just normal. So people, like, even years ago, we used to have to explain it and it blew people away. But like now when you tell people they can do it, it doesn't surprise them that you can do it as much, is what I'm basically saying. Like,
Yeah, I agree.
because obviously we do Zoom calls now. People just expect that remote connection. When I first started doing this, like people were still driving to people's shops and like, selling them in person. Like now people just shop on the internet.
Well, it's like when I have a problem with my computer here, I just call whatever that company is. I just know where the number is. Just call
The
them up
IT
and
company?
say, "Hey guys, this isn't doing what it used to do."
You're like, make machine not go clicky clicky.
And then I can kick back and relax for a few minutes while they do whatever they need to do.
Yeah, that's why you're on the phone with them all the time.
But I'm not out there trying to like figure out why something won't download by myself.
Just jiggle the handle.
So I'd restart the computer 30 times a day. This will obviously fix it.
If I restart it, the problem goes away. What about you guys? I mean, what's your guys' thoughts on that? How much better their control is comparably to the similarly priced machines? Travis, obviously, you quote a lot of machines, so.
Yeah, so I was going to say a lot of questions I do get in the initial stages talking with customers is controllers, and they complain about the ones that they have on their current machine. Once I send them our controller overview videos, they never realized there was a controller out there that was as easy to run as what we have to offer, but yet still be industrial.
Yeah, I have various responsibilities within the crew. I'm kind of a jack of all trades, really.
Is that what you're basically saying?
Pretty much.
Yeah. Nick, I know you're a real expert on this topic. I know you, when we came into the podcast room and you saw the topic, you were like, man, I know everything about this. I can't wait to talk about it. So what is your thoughts, Nick?
I agree with Chad and Travis on what they said about all of it. But I think, I mean, honestly, I think going back to what you said about people kind of being surprised about you being able to log into their controller and their computer, it probably took some getting used to for some of those people to like let somebody from who knows where. I mean, obviously they knew we were here, but to log into your computer with access to who knows what. I mean, people probably took a little bit of getting used to that, to letting somebody just go in and look at all their stuff, right?
Wrong answer. No, actually, you're right. I just wanted to push that button.
Fair.
But yeah, no, I really expected you to have a bad answer, to be honest with you. I was prepping for that, and you actually had a really good answer. So, but no, it's true. Like, nowadays, if somebody's like, hey, I need to log in and do something, like, you just, yeah, no problem.
Yep.
But like 10 plus years ago, I'd be like, hey, I got to log in your computer. Like, the hell you are, hacker.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, no, I'm really just logging in to help you. But nowadays, like, they don't even like think twice about it. It's a big part of what we do. But, for me, I think, CNC, the controller topic itself is kind of a touchy subject. Everyone has an opinion on it. I will say that. You know, there's a lot of facts that I don't know. They're a little bit skewed, I would say. A lot of times it's based on someone's opinion rather than its actual facts. And in the end, you kind of have to find a controller that works for your goals, is what I always tell customers. Like, your goal in mind ultimately has to be considered, because what works for one guy might not work for the next guy. You know, some people are programmers and they want to be able to professionally program G code and do all that. And that's what they're looking for. You know, I have, I would say, a fair amount of customers that have a lot of experience. And so they may be familiar with like mill style controls. But we have more customers that have no idea how to program that style of controller. And so therefore, what you sell one guy can't necessarily work for the next guy. And so you have to take into consideration as you're buying your machine, what are you looking for from that machine? What do you want it to do? You know, ShopSabre's done a tremendous job catering, I think, to the vast majority of users. You know, obviously we have the M8 control. So we have that mill style controller for the guy who wants that. But then we have the, you know, standalone, you know, control, the ShopSabre control, which is powered by WinCNC. That control has a whole variety of features and items packed into it to make things easy on somebody who has no experience. And, you know, we've built CNC machines that really are dependable for over 10 years. I mean, I think that's safe to say. Yep. Our first machine's still out there running today, which I think is a pretty big statement when you consider we've been around, 24 years now?
Right.
And a controller that is simple enough to run that requires no on-site training when you think about it, right? We don't have to go on-site and train people how to run our machines. It doesn't require 3 to 5 days of intense training to get started the first time. And the controller is versatile enough that it fits the needs of everyone from a hobbyist in their home, right, or their garage or whatever, to Ford and Mercedes-Benz. Man, you think about that. That's a pretty powerful statement when you can develop a controller that can work in all those environments.
Absolutely.
And then let's remember, we've kept it in America, and it's American-made and affordable.
You could have started with middle schoolers.
Yeah.
From middle schoolers all the way to Ford and
That's
Mercedes.
true. That's true. Because we really do. I mean, when you think about that, you know, I think of hobby because it's somebody at home just playing around doesn't. But that's true. A lot of education. We do a lot of things in the educational world. Chad, actually, you're kind of the man of education, aren't you?
Right, Travis?
Can't touch any Minnesota schools. He's got them all claimed already.
Well, there's the two big deals there, and some schools are or some of the cities were so small that the school is in the classroom that they're teaching in, like normal math classes, and they're doing like kindergarten K through 12 all in one building. You know, it's crazy.
Well, I was just going to mention, sorry, not to cut you off,
No,
but that story I told you again about Fleet Farm. Kid was probably 16 years old,
Yeah.
was so excited to come up and tell me, because I had a ShopSabre shirt on, how much they love the machines, and he's used both the routers and the plasmas. And for a kid like him, you know, probably didn't know what a CNC was until he got into that class.
What do you mean a kid like him?
Young.
No, yeah, it's
Gotta put me on the spot.
Yeah. It's but it's true though. Like you said, it's exciting to see like how many different people utilize our machine, and you know, obviously you got family members that use our machine, correct, Travis?
Yep.
How I know you've got a deal you're working with the New Jersey Turnpike or something like that I know is going really well, and you're excited for that one too, right? I mean, so you got it in government as well, correct?
Well, that one already sold. It's the park service I'm working with now.
Yeah, but a
same
government.
thing.
I mean, a lot of government facilities. Chad, you've sold to, you know, anything from elementary, middle schoolish, right, to colleges, universities. Obviously, we've talked about that.
Yep.
I mean, I know MIT. You know, we've had some pretty, you know, nostalgic schools as well. I know, you know, Nick, you get to deal with a lot of these customers, right? It's a wide range of customers that you deal with on a day-to-day basis, is it not?
For sure, absolutely. Like you said, from teachers to a guy that's cutting little wooden things in his garage, all the way up to the big companies.
Yeah, engineers, people like that. So it's like the education level of the user changes vastly, right? Mm-hmm. And our machine has to be able to cater to all those people.
Right.
So when you look at a controller, you need to find a machine that's going to give you the ability to do that. My phone is going crazy right now.
I heard
Sorry
it.
about that. But yeah, I think about that in our controller. And that's what really comes to mind. And, I just think that we've done a lot of great things that give us the ability to extend ourselves into a lot of different applications without having to like reinvent the world. And so let's compare technology for a moment here, right? What are some of the things you guys have heard from people about controllers and thoughts that, you come up with, obviously based on what you hear from people, but like, when you slow down and actually think and discuss, what do you think is questions that you get that maybe are unreasonable? Or maybe they, are just people think too much into, like sometimes they think too much into the controller or stuff. Or, and sometimes maybe it's just questions in general that you hear about controllers. What are some of the things that come up for you guys?
You should go to a dedicated controller.
That one, we'll touch on that. I like that one because, we hear, should I go to a dedicated controller, right? Or should you guys go to a dedicated controller? You need to get a dedicated controller. And they're talking about the Fanics of the world, right? The Fanic, the Mitsubishi, the B&R, like we'll talk about those controllers here shortly. What's something else that you guys hear people saying?
One thing I've heard periodically is people get nervous about it being able to get upgradable.
Yeah.
Customers that run a machine or maybe want to buy a used machine 15 years ago. Is it still able to get support? Is it still able to get parts?
Yeah.
With our controller, I would like to say yes, because they can update. Somebody that's running a Windows XP old controller can still update that controller to current times.
No, yeah, totally. I saw that here. No, I just beat a smart ass there. You're 100% right though. Is the upgradability and the compatibility and what does the future look like, right?
Yep.
So we get a lot of questions about that. Like, well, if I buy the machine, am I going to be able to run it in a year or two, right? What if they come out with the next version of software, whatever, right? So forward thinking, right? Compatibility. What about people who say, I've heard it. I don't know if you guys hear it as much, but do you hear people ever telling you that are nervous about the PC side of things? That, having the PC and, you should use a different controller, whether it's a pendant or they're worried that there's a computer at the machine. Do you guys get that much anymore?
People get confused thinking that our controller is similar to like a Mach series controller. That's what I get. People think it's just a download, that they can put it on any
software.
computer.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah, exactly. The PC style control, versus, an actual like software controller, and that is concern. I've heard people talk about PLC controls, and I've heard people, say different things there. So let's talk a little bit about all these topics that we just chatted about real quick. I think all of these statements are fair, right? I think in some way, everybody has the right to have their opinion of what control they think is best, right? But they're all valid statements without context. Like those are all things you could think about, right? But all these things do exist and could be considered in your purchase. But as we look at like what the CNC industry has become, I think you start to look at like, I've always said like dedicated controls are kind of a dinosaur nowadays.
Right.
Like having these, again, I refer to the, the Fanics and the B&Rs and the, the M8 controller and all these, like, they've come a long way. They're not what they used to be. So you can't necessarily call all these controllers dedicated controllers anymore, right? Because dedicated controls were really, really popular in like the 80s, 90s, where it was built for that machine exclusively, and that was it. So there was no outside world, right? You weren't going to connect the internet to it. There was nothing you had to worry about. So it was built in a robust state of mind, right? This is the way the machine is built. This is the control system that's built for it. That's it. There's no aftermarket controller components, right? There's no options you're going to add to the machine later on. There's no new software going to come. The machine was built the way it was, and it's going to run that way until that machine breaks. And I think that's where if you look at like old CNC machines, you have machines that are super outdated, right?
Yep.
Because you couldn't update them. They're not compatible. I mean, I know there's mills out there that still run floppy disks.
Yep.
Right? Like you think about that because they were built for what they were back in the day. They're not built for what we have today. But back in the 90s, nobody was thinking about technology that we have today because it didn't exist. Right? Oh, it's got to be Wi-Fi compatible. How many machines don't have Wi-Fi?
Right.
How many machines you can't connect it to a Wi-Fi network because it didn't exist when it came out.
Right.
So like that's where I refer to like dedicated controls being kind of dinosaurs. They're old school. They've been around forever. The support usually isn't great on them because they're so old, and their programming and functionality is expensive. You have to hire a programmer. You're spending $40, $50 an hour on a guy to run that machine because he's got to have the education to run that type of technology. Most companies don't have the staff or the time to truly become proficient with these style controllers. I mean, just being honest. And then you have kind of like the new age dedication, where you still can get into the FANUC and the B&R and, the M8 controllers. And they're a lot better, but they're still going to require a dedicated operator. They require a lot more education to run those machines still. Yep. Yeah, you might be able to hook the internet up to them now, right? You can do some things with them, but they still have a dedicated control system to them. So the downfall of even the new designs, the control system is the control system. You're not upgrading it. You're going to have to replace components. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it. So again, and you forward think in 10 years, that controller is going to be in the same state of mind. It's going to be dedicated for what it was built for, and it's 10 years old and it's outdated. So I think you have to start thinking about that. And, how do you sell? Let me ask a question for the people who are like, yeah, well, you should put a dedicated controller on your machine. Well, we do. It's the M80 controller. Like, we have it on the ISM. But I can't put that on a $40,000 router. How do you sell a $40 or $50 or $60,000 machine with a $10,000 to $20,000 controller on it?
Right.
I mean, I can't have half the machine cost be the controller.
You're going to cut quality on the machine?
Yeah, something has to give, right? And that's what we see from China, right? We see some of these import products that they advertise they're using a FANUC controller. But the machine retails for very similar price, $60,000, right? Mm-hmm. Well, the controller didn't get cheaper.
Right.
FANUC wasn't just magically like, oh yeah, we'll give you a huge discount, because your machine's cheap. No, FANUC still got their money. You, the user, got screwed on everything else because they put all cheap crap in there,
Yep.
So I think that's what you start to think about. And, the controller doesn't automatically make the machine better. The controller is one part of the machine, but most companies are going to cut corners elsewhere to compensate for that controller cost. And therefore, you might end up with a really great controller and you end up with a machine that can't run worth a crap.
Right.
So, you cut quality elsewhere and obviously it drives the price down. So there's a reason, those controllers are primarily on $150,000 and up machines. These controllers are good and they have lots of capabilities, but they don't have a place in the call it $70,000 or $80,000 market, right? Not without cutting performance or quality, in my opinion.
Right.
And then think about the support side of things. Somebody's got to support that controller. I certainly don't want an import company trying to support a, controller of that level. That's not exactly what I would like. I'd rather have a service technician that's going to help me if I have that kind of control system. So, again, removing a PC is not something that makes sense all the time. And, that's the other question I see. Like, again, going back to the other question of, well, you should remove the PC or I'm worried about the PC. Well, why would you give up that PC's capabilities? Let me ask you that, right? The PC itself allows you to do things that a dedicated control doesn't. You can install programs at the machine, right? You can have Windows or Chad, as you said, you can remotely log into the machine, right?
Yep.
All of those things are made possible because there's a computer system there. Windows makes all that possible. Let me ask you this. What do you guys come up with in the world? Like, what programs or I guess even devices do you run that doesn't have some sort of an OS on it now? I mean, shit, my TV has an OS on it now.
I don't think I have any.
Not many. No, I can't think of one.
Everything has an operating system now, correct?
Right.
So why would you not want an operating system on your CNC machine? Right?
Exactly.
I mean, you buy an iPhone, okay? I have an iPhone, and they do... Chad, do you have an iPhone?
Yep.
Okay. How many updates do you think they do a year?
I don't know.
I mean...
Couple.
Yeah, I mean, they do a few a year, though, right?
Yep.
So when you get that update, you don't go buy a new phone.
I think about it.
Yeah. That's true. We all think about it. But the reality is you don't run out and buy a new phone because they have to do an update, right?
No.
They
not at
download the
all.
update on your phone, you keep running.
Yep.
But imagine you don't have an OS system anymore. It's built one way, right? And you need to do an update. You gonna run out and buy a new phone then? That's what your choice is, right? Yeah. No, everybody puts OS systems. So that's where computers, Windows is the same way, right? You have an operating system, and they come out with a new version, or they do a new update, or something. They can update the version. You can update the computer. So it goes back, Travis, to your comment earlier when people are like, what do I do, about the future? I'd rather have a Windows system where I can update to the new program, right?
Correct.
Like, how many customers have to replace their machine because of their controller that own a ShopSabre?
I would guess 0.
Yeah, 0.
They would have to want a new machine or something.
Correct. There's another reason.
Right.
There's not because of the controller.
Right.
Nobody is going to buy a new ShopSabre because, the controller's broken and I can't move forward. No, you can get a new PC, right? Or replace the better part. You don't have to get a new PC. A lot of times, replace the broken part in the computer.
Right.
The motherboard went out. You can fix that.
Right.
The hard drive. If something goes bad, you can replace that one component. Let me ask you this: is it cheaper to replace a hard drive than it is to replace a dedicated control?
Absolutely.
For sure.
If a FANUC controller goes out, right? If you have a problem with your FANUC control, you're gonna run down to the local store and buy yourself a FANUC control board?
I was going to say, you could potentially go to like a Best Buy or something and get your standard computer products. You're not going to walk in there and be like, hey, I need you to fix my FANUC controller.
Correct. Yeah, and I'm just using FANUC as an example.
Right, exactly.
I'm not picking that brand specific.
Right.
It's a well-known name. There's a lot of controllers out there, and honestly, FANUC is pretty robust. So I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but my point being is it's not something you can just work on yourself.
Correct.
Most people don't have the capabilities to go in and actually fix that control. But a lot of people have the ability to fix a computer. Heck, I can remote into a computer most of the time as long as it turns on, right?
Yep.
Like, there's a lot of things you can do there. So you start thinking about that, and then you think about your CAD CAM softwares, right? What do CAD CAM softwares nowadays require?
Windows.
Windows.
Yeah. So you have to have a Windows system anyway. So it's kind of cool to be able to install your CAD program right on the machine, is it not?
Absolutely.
Or save your files at the machine.
Yep.
Can't do that with a dedicated control all the time. Most time you can't. You can't run a CAD program at the dedicated. So now you're running back and forth between the office, trying to do things, and it's time consuming. So I think it's funny when people say, you got to get rid of the PC. No, I don't got to get rid of the PC. What you got to get rid of is the crappy PC program that you think you're going to be running. There's bad PCs out there because of bad programs. But if you get yourself a quality controller that works with the PC shouldn't hurt your performance of your CNC machine.
Well, and if there was an issue with PC at our machines, we probably wouldn't be doing it for 24 years the same way.
Usually not. Most people don't make it that long if you got something that doesn't work, right?
Right.
Think about, things like file transfer as well.
Yep.
Think about, Travis, I don't even know. When you got started, like, how are people transferring files to machines?
Well, I'm pretty sure we just talked a lot more about the USB still. I
Right.
mean, I guess I can't remember if we still had the networking capabilities on it.
That's what I was trying to remember too. I don't even think we did. Like, I think when you started, like, in the industry, we're just starting to get that stuff. But, like, I remember vividly when I got started, like, USB was the thing.
Yep.
Like, oh yeah, you put it on a USB drive and you're going to bring it out there.
Yep.
Like, nowadays, guys just connect them to their networks and they use, Dropbox or, OneDrive or any of those. And then we can use TeamViewer or Zoom and have, meetings, and we can do so many cool things because of the computer system.
Yep.
None of that was available when I started in the CNC industry. None of it. You had to do everything. I mean, we used to have CDs.
I was going to say, you're probably still running floppy disks even, because USB came out right after floppy.
I'm not that old. We had CD.
Not that young.
Jeez.
Also, guys today still do use the fancy USB drives that we send them out in our welcome package.
Well,
Oh,
no, yeah,
absolutely.
we're not saying that you can't, but my point is you couldn't even network back then. Back then, you didn't have the option to network. Like, you had to use a USB. That was like their latest and greatest technology. Nowadays, guys, some guys just network their whole shop. They don't ever have to, I can put files right on my cell phone and transfer them that way.
Yep.
Like, you think about how far it's come, but guys are still running the old machines, right?
Yep.
That's the benefit of what a PC brings, is that you can upgrade and keep going and your machine doesn't have to get replaced. And so, why would you want something that doesn't give you the ability to adapt? I want something that allows support. That's my big thing. I just want the support. Help me out when I don't know what the heck I'm doing. And the PC gives me that versatility and gives me that dependability. Plus, everybody knows how to use a computer.
One same thing with upgrades. You want to put an upgraded option in your system. Yeah, you might do the manual labor of adding the option, but when it comes to actually programming it, our team logs right in.
Yep.
People get nervous, like, well, I want to add the dust stock later. I just can't afford it right now. It's not an issue.
Yeah.
Our team will just log right in. They can't believe how easy it is.
Yeah, the other alternative is dedicated controls and stuff like that. You're paying somebody to come out there and do hard programming.
Yep.
That's not fun. Then you get guys that say, you know, you got to go to like a PLC controller. Well, first off, it's interesting because, you know, PLCs generally aren't by themselves. They're generally not standalone. Generally, you're looking at CNC versus PLC because the PLC is, for those who don't know what it is, it's a programmable logic control. And it's compact. It's typically special purpose, built, you know, it's designed to perform a logic operation. So, example is it turns a motor on and off, right? That's what the PLC tells it to. It just tells that motor to turn on and off. It doesn't have a sense of like computing power necessarily, right? It's not telling the machine the coordinates. It's not giving it sense of direction. It doesn't. It simply is designed to be hardwired in, and it has relays. And initially designed for kind of the automotive industry. That's what it's designed for. And it's evolved. In today's world, PLCs are widely used in automation manufacturing. And it's a lot of times found in assembly lines, conveyor systems, things like that, where you're turning things on and off at certain times. They can be used in CNC because, again, you're turning things on and off at certain times. They're highly reliable, but they still require additional components. And that's the one thing that people need to remember is that it still has to have a power supply. There still needs to be some sort of a CPU, which is a computer. So these guys were telling you, like, oh, we got a PLC controller. They still have a computer somewhere involved.
Yep.
It just might not be as obvious, right? It might not be as capable of a computer, but there's still something there that has to tell it. You still got memory, you still got inputs, you still got outputs. You know, PLC is generally used in conjunction with a controller. And a PLC itself usually isn't standalone, and by itself it would be considered limiting functionality on a CNC machine. I mean, that's something to say right out of the gate for anybody considering PLC. When you're using a controller, many times they have to connect a PLC to it to give more stability in certain needs or functions. So guys will use PLCs to run the tool changer, or they'll use a PLC to run a certain function on the machine. You know, ShopSabre does, you know, use a controller that sends information to PLCs. We use PLCs on certain applications. But again, we still have a controller on the front end controlling all of that. The PLC will not perform to the level of needs without the controller on the front end, right? The front end is essentially the brain. I mean, that's really where you come in. It's got to have something there. So, you know, CNC itself stands for computerized numerically control. It is an automation method. That's what it is. It's meant for controlling motion and movement for equipment. It is currently a way of manipulating machine motion or movement when using things like lathes, routers, plasmas, etc., water jet, whatever. But when you're considering a CNC control versus a PLC, it's really not a consideration. You know, it's one thing I always say, the CNC control is far more capable and more sophisticated because you still have inputs, but you also have an MCU, which is a machine control unit. That's actually what executes your G and M codes. Right, Nick?
Correct.
I know that this is all stuff that you know. I can tell it on your face.
Just making sure you have it all down.
You're just making sure I got it? Okay. I didn't know. I saw you Googling it earlier. But yeah, no, you know, these systems can relay data, you know, such as speeds, feeds, you know, other relative information that pertains to your operation. They also can run display units, which is nice because that is the screen and that's what you're seeing, the visual validation stuff. And then they have, you know, control loop units, drive systems, and eventually the machine itself, you know, receives feedback from it. CNC programs consist of readable text lines and M and G commands, most referring to this as G code or standard G code language. Now, that said, these controllers also typically work with CAD/CAM programs, right? That's what outputs the G code. So, you know, you're there for it's a very complex multiple drive axis system, and generally they can do it. You know, a good controller can do multiple axes simultaneously, and that's how you get 2.5 or 3D motion. Sometimes, you know, 5th axis motion. But the difference between CNC and PLC can be summarized simply as this: CNC stands for computerized numerically controlled. It provides conditional motion control to multiple axes in a machine tool. CNC controller is a purpose-built control system, essentially using a PLC or general purpose computer for specifically manufacturing tasks or whatever it might be. And CNC machines use CNC programs generated by some sort of a CAM software, typically nowadays. Yeah, obviously you used to be able to hard code them or, you know, write manual G code, but nowadays people do it through a CAM software. A PLC is a programmable logic control, as we mentioned earlier, and it's sequential motion control into multi-axis. So, again, as you kind of look through it, there's a little bit of a difference between a PLC and what a CNC can do, but also a PLC is specifically designed for general purpose logical controls that allow you to create their own application or program. It's dedicated. PLC systems mainly use a ladder diagram programming written by the user. And, it's typically got discrete analog or high-speed values. I mean, that's usually what it is. But, again, when you look at them, there's a lot of differences between the different controllers. And I don't think it's fair to say that, like, one controller is necessarily better than the other. I would say they all have a place in this world. And a PLC generally is going to go in conjunction with a CNC control system. So you're not comparing one to the other. When people say pick a PLC control, it's generally not something that is going to be by itself. You still need something else to control it. The other thing you're going to find is that a lot of times the controls that people pick out are software-driven controllers because they're popular in the hobbyist or online community. A lot of times they're not industrial enough for a real application, and they don't give you enough versatility. That's the problem that I start to see. Like, it's things like you see things like Centroid controls or Mach controllers, and they all have a place in the world, and you see them on a lot of entry-level machines. But you typically don't see them on industrial machines because they just don't have the stability or the versatility.
So a Mach series isn't even a PLC. It's
No,
that?
No, it's above it. I mean, it's a lot of times Mach still uses PLCs involved with it.
Okay.
But a lot of times Mach is going to be on your computer. It's a downloadable control, so it's actually a program running within the Windows operating system.
I got
And then
you.
it's sending signal. The computer is the brain, if you will, right? Where like our controller, we have dedicated boards, It works within a computer, but the boards are actually doing the thinking. That is lacking those boards. It's just running off the computer.
So when Windows doesn't update with our computer, it doesn't affect it at all. But under a Mach series controller, it
Correct.
could bog down the machine.
Yeah, and I always caution that because I won't say that an update won't affect our controller because obviously if you go from Windows 10 to Windows 12, right, or whatever, if you do that, the controller might not be written to that control. So it can affect those situations. But yeah, like if your machine's just doing a small, like again, like we talk about the iPhone update,
Yep.
like it's 99.9% of the time never going to even see that it happened to the controller because the controller doesn't care. The controller's not running off the Windows. The Windows is just there powering it essentially and giving it the computing power. But we have a dedicated control board. And that's the difference in like a dedicated controller versus like a Mach or one of those controls is that these controls that we utilize are so much more sophisticated because they basically take the best of both worlds. What ShopSabre is doing is we're taking if you take those big controllers, those Fanucs, those B&Rs, those, Mitsubishi controllers, and you open up that big giant cabinet that all those machines have, you're going to find a set of computer boards in there. We've taken that complexity, right? Take those computer boards out of there, and we've essentially installed them into a PC system, giving you the ability to have a much smaller, more condensed control system, but also allowing us to be more versatile. Because if you buy a Fanuc controller, as an example, guys, or a Mitsubishi controller, what motors are you getting?
Mitsubishi.
Yeah, Mitsubishi for Mitsubishi or Fanuc for Fanuc, right? The beauty of doing the way we do is we can custom configure, right? We can choose what's best for the application. I can use this control, but I can buy whatever motor that I feel is best from an accuracy or performance standpoint. Where if I buy somebody's controller dedicated, like a B&R controller, I have to use B&R's, stuff.
Yep.
It limits me to the versatility because, yeah, they might have a really great front end, but maybe they're not as good in motors. Or maybe they're really good in motors, but their front end's terrible, right? Like you start thinking about that, and I mean, you guys have seen it. There's a few machines on the market today that still use a lot of what I would consider dinosaur technology in their controller.
For sure.
The knobs and it's just like you look at the controller and it's like operating a machine in the 80s.
That like old brownish yellow screen.
Yeah, yeah. Or the green screen even, or, there's just like no color screen to it, no, HMI output. Like there's just no actual like Windows system. It just feels old and kind of dinosaur-y.
And one thing I feel is worth mentioning on the WinCNC controller versus like a Mach controller is that with it having that PCI card in the actual CPU itself, it's 2,100 lines of code ahead of that PC. So from my understanding with like a Mach series controller, you can actually have a buffer or like a stall where with our controller, you should never have that happen.
Yeah. And that's huge though. You think about not having to worry about that. Like how much further ahead you can get, and the machine can operate so much quicker. But my other thing that I think about is, think about versatility, adding a knife to the machine or a laser to the machine or a fourth axis. Like, our control has so many versatilities to it that you can use all those things. Some controllers literally can't do it. They don't support it.
Correct.
And so, in today's world, let's talk about CNC advancement real quick. In today's world, trying to compare every controller and pair them the same is really not possible. It's incorrect. ShopSabre ISM and the M8 series controller is one of the most accurate and capable controllers in the CNC industry today. Is it not, guys?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And so when you look at that, you're going to find, though, that the price and the functionality of that controller probably isn't for everyone. I mean, do you guys quote an ISM to every person that calls you?
No.
Yeah. I mean, how often, honestly, thinking about like the ISM, how many people really need the ISM or benefit from the ISM?
15 to 20%.
Yeah. I mean, it's 20, call it a 20% machine, right? It's 20% of people need that machine. The rest of the people really, it's more machine than they ever need. It's a higher price than they have to spend. And they're not going to necessarily make more money because they buy it.
And most people want the ability to have our techs log into the computer.
Yeah.
And we can do it with the M8. It's just you have to.
It's a little bit more steps, right? It's
exactly.
more complicated because it's not a Windows controller.
You have to hook a Windows computer to it to be able to do it,
Correct.
from my understanding.
Yeah, and so those mill-style controllers have a time and a place in this world, and there's a lot of projects and people out there that need that controller, and that's why we sell it. But there's also a reason a computer-controlled operation exists, right? A dedicated control board inside it, like what we have, with a PC. It's going to give you more versatility, and typically going to be more capable in terms of versatility-wise, and dependability is typically going to be, quite a bit there because, again, you can replace the computer if something goes wrong.
Right.
It's a lot less of a headache to learn because it's a computer, and we've all pretty much grown up on computers at this point and know how to turn them on. So the learning curve is a lot less. And when you look at those pendant-style controllers, yeah, they're cost-effective, they're cheap, but they're super limited, right? Their limitations are pretty major.
I don't think people think about what they have to do if that logically locks itself.
Yeah.
They're not going to be able to get into it. You're mailing it into the company and waiting for them to mail it back to you.
Yeah, and the performance is limited. And the speeds of those are, because the communication speed because of it is so slow.
You can't see the file.
Yeah, you can't see stuff. I mean, there's a lot of there's no HMI there. Like there's no front end to it. It's just literally it's like running your machine on a calculator.
I've even had customers say that their only way for the majority of those to get into your data is through a USB. And if that USB, for whatever reason, comes disconnected even a little bit for a second, it stalls everything, you lose everything.
Yeah, you need to understand your needs, your budget, your expectations, because maybe it works for you. If you're spending a really low price tag, $2,000, maybe it works. But if I'm going to spend $30,000 on a machine, I sure as hell don't want it to have a calculator control on it.
No.
Yeah, and we have a really cool video on our website people could watch called the router control functionality.
Yeah.
It's a really awesome video.
Yeah, if you go right to our YouTube channel, you can actually see it. It shows off how our controller runs, how it operates. We go through it step by step.
ShopSabre.com.
It's also there.
It's also there. It's on ShopSabre. But it's one of those things where you have to really dive into this subject. And if you're not asking questions about the controller, asking for, a simulation on it if you haven't seen it. In our case, we have videos galore showing you the controller. But a lot of companies don't even show you their controller. They're trying to mask it because they don't want you to see how complicated or how, incapable the controller really is. We're very transparent. We show you our controller. We play with it. We'll show you guys in live demo. We don't have an issue doing that. How many times have you guys asked me to do a demo for customers before?
You've done it a good amount of times for me.
Yeah, we're not afraid to do it. And so I guess that's kind of where I went with today's episode is that what's the deal with controllers? Well, there's a lot with them. You should be asking questions. I mean, guys, if somebody needs more information on this, how can they find out more about it?
MySpace.
MySpace for sure. Definitely. That's where I go to find out all my information is MySpace.
I think they can reach out to me or Travis.
Yeah. I mean,
That'd be one way.
you guys will go through it and you'll spend the time going through the controller questions, won't you?
Absolutely.
5 minutes max.
5 minutes. Thanks. I'm glad that.
I'll offer at least 10.
Then I send the video on our website.
And then if that doesn't enough, give me a call. I'll take care of you.
That's a good idea. It scares me a little bit. Back to the same answer earlier. Don't call Nick. He's definitely not the guy to call. But like I said, you can give, Chad or Travis a call. Any of the sales guys here a call. They'll take care of you. Go to our YouTube channel. Obviously, we got videos on it there. Go to our website. ShopSabre.com has a lot of good content there. Make sure you go check out our other podcast. Obviously, we have our video podcast with Sean Morley live today. So that podcast is relatively new. Chad's the only episode so far, and then today's new one is Sean. And again, that's Sabre Talk is the name of that podcast.
Live today, tomorrow, or live today, yesterday?
Yes. All of the above. All of the above. You can check out my new fresh tan that I got, courtesy of Jose.
Fresh tan, same bald head.
Yep, same bald head, fresh tan. That might be the catchphrase of this show.
I was surprised how big my forehead was. The hairs receding back quickly.
So big
Sabre
they call
talk.
it a 5-head.
I like that one though.
That was a good one.
That was a good one. We're gonna have to go with
Got a
that.
few comments.
I might have to put that on a. I have to put that on a T-shirt. That catchphrase might be it.
What?
Same bald head. What was it? Dang it! I already lost
New
it.
tan,
New tan, same bald head. There we go. That'll be on the T-shirts for Sabre Talk.
See, I pay attention sometimes.
I was shocked. Absolutely shocked. I figured you'd be sleeping by now.
It was because I was taking a shot at you, so I remembered it.
Oh
pretty
yeah,
good.
you remembered it because you had an opportunity to take a shot at me. Hey, how's your motorcycle doing?
Oh,
Yeah, got a phone call here. Not a good one.
better than the boat.
Sounds like
I
I'm
don't
gonna
know
be
if it
broke.
is, to be honest with you.
I don't know.
That's a close. You know what? In all fairness, though, my truck's in the shop now. So you guys have passed your contagious vehicle problems onto me now. Chad had the first one. Then it went to Nick. Now it's my fault. I now have the truck in the shop right now. Something going on with the front differential on the truck. So sweet.
So are you going to pull the race car with Amy's race car?
I was gonna pull it with the Jeep Liberty. I figured Jeep Liberty pulling a 30-foot enclosed trailer should work just fine.
Sounds like a great
Dodge is the only thing I got running left. We'll give it a try. I'll hook it up to your trailer.
Brandon already knows it won't work.
I already know that one's broken, so I'm not gonna use that vehicle. Nope. So we're praying that the truck gets back before Thursday. So
Just buy a new one.
actually,
You were already looking.
funny that you say that. I told my wife, well, hopefully the truck's done by Thursday. She said, yeah, then we won't be able to go on vacation. I said, no, then we're going on vacation in our new truck. So she's been talking to the dealership every day. Hey, is that truck almost ready? I'm like, my new one's just about detailed, I'm sure. They'll get that one ready for me. She's not thrilled about that, so
You'll
we'll
be
see.
in a Ram by the weekend.
Probably not that. Maybe not. I guess there's only one way to find out. I'm not buying a Ram. Sorry, I'm not doing it. But yeah, no. So like I said, that's what I know. But Nick, social media. You got some new stuff coming out, right? You guys got been posting pictures. You've been doing some cool stuff, right?
Yeah, lots of cool stuff we're working on with Kyle and Jose. Obviously, the Meet the Team videos that drop on Friday.
Who's this week? Do we know?
Yeah, Benny down in shipping.
Benny.
Should be interesting.
That'll be a cool one. Did you guys film that yet? Yeah, it's all filmed. Oh, they're already doing the editing.
Yep.
Kyle's already excited about it. I can see the look on his face. He's super excited.
So that'll
about
be
it.
done Friday at noon.
Cool. So the new Meet the Team episode this Friday.
Yeah, and then your Sabre Talk episode that dropped today. No, yesterday.
Yep.
When this
Today,
podcast
tomorrow,
goes.
yesterday. Yep.
Whichever one. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok,
Do we get them all?
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn. There's another one. MySpace.
I think that's all of them, Kyle. MySpace. Yeah. Put us as one of your top 13.
Might as well get going with Snapchat.
Snapchat.
Not so sure about that one.
Yeah, we'll have Snapchat. We gotta get that going. We're gonna have to get all these different ones going, I guess.
Anything else you got, Kyle? That covered all?
What about TikTok?
He said
That's
TikTok.
it, TikTok.
Oh, did you say TikTok?
Yeah. Yeah, there's pictures of him out there doing TikTok dances. Follow us on TikTok. You can see Nick doing all the latest trends. Ooh, that's a good idea. We should have Nick do the latest trends every week.
All right. What do you got?
Just find whatever the latest TikTok trend is, and we'll make Nick do it.
You gotta do the one margarita song.
Never seen it, but it sounds fun.
So yeah, about that. Next week, 4th of July.
We're not here.
We're not here. So guess what? No podcast episode next week. Take the week off. Re-listen to the ones you've missed. We'll come back with a new one the following week. So next week, no podcast episode. Don't worry. We didn't quit doing this. It's just 4th of July. We're out partying, lighting fireworks. Speaking of fireworks,
Oh, speaking of fireworks,
Nick sent me some pictures of fireworks, and his wife texted me and said, I'm pretty sure he's enjoying this more than the kids. And they had a pile of fireworks.
I tried getting Nick to buy me some while he was there, but he ignored my text.
I was already gone and halfway home.
likely story.
His trunk was already full.
Well, when you
I've
said
seen the
when you
pictures.
said I'll pay you back, I felt bad because you got all these things you got to pay to fix. So I didn't want to take any of your money.
Got him some sparklers on the cheap.
I think you can afford these.
You got the little snake things.
The
Little
snakes.
Some of
snakes
those
that you put on,
poppers.
the snakes that you put on your
Whippersnappers.
driveway and they stain your concrete for the next year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, hey guys, don't blow your hands off this week when you guys are playing with fireworks. Public service announcement. Be careful this week.
That's why I have the kids light them.
Smart idea. Yeah, but 4th of July, obviously, I have to plug it because it's one of my favorite holidays. 4th of July, celebrate America. Celebrate American-made equipment. We got a lot of cool things happening right now. We got some sales going on. If you need a CNC machine, contact the boys here. These guys will take care of you. But again, American-made, 4th of July, let's celebrate the independence and get you into something that's made here in the States and supported by a bunch of cool-ass people. I mean, we got a really, really good crew here. And, I could say that with the sales and the specials and everything going on, there's no better time to buy it than now.
Absolutely.
Correct.
Yeah. So 4th of July, we're going to take off Tuesday. We'll be actually closed Monday and Tuesday. And then we'll be back on Wednesday. But next episode will be 2 weeks from now. So make sure you tune in at that time. But if you haven't got caught up, get caught up on the past episodes. What are we on? Today's episode of 111. So you got about 110 episodes you could listen to between now and the next time we're up. So I don't think you should get bored yet. Right?
Right.
Cool. We got it accomplished. I got to go wake Ryan up. He fell asleep during our podcast. He's in the corner sleeping.
He fell asleep when he heard Travis's boat story for the 3rd time today.
Yeah, Travis has told him about it. Hey, Ryan, you heard about my boat yet?
Oh, now I can pitch about the Harley.
Fair
And,
enough.
and he gets the snowmobile that he's got to work on before the winter too.
My God, you should fix all this stuff.
Snowmobile. There ain't nothing wrong with the snowmobile.
Yet.
Yet.
I hope not. I gotta
Actually,
pull it
didn't
in
you
my
have
new
something
shed.
happen with the track last winter?
No, it was what the hell was it? Oh, it started leaking oil out of it, and I don't understand why. Oh, it's because
yeah.
it was on its side. I tipped it on its side.
Amazing when you roll things over, they leak oil. Can't
Yeah,
believe
there's
it.
a lot of it. Though.
Unbelievable. Well, on that note, I'm Brandon.
I'm Chad.
I'm Travis.
I'm Nick.
I'm Kyle.
That's Jose. And
that's
Ryan's
Ryan.
over in the corner sleeping. So thanks for talking shop with ShopSabre.